Welcome to InnoVIS, a podcast about visas. The purpose of this podcast is to shed some light on one of the most confusing aspects of globalization. I'm your host, Eleanor Shafe-Chin. Check all the official embassy websites close to the time of your departure, and make sure to ask detailed questions of your in-country partners because I am not qualified to give any sort of advice whatsoever. Anyway, today we are going to talk about Russia. Russia is a political hotspot right now, but to be honest, it hasn't been cold since before the Cold War. Russia is another country that ranks complicated on the visa procedures scale of complications. And to focus a bit deeper, today's discussion is going to narrow in on the information on visas for only U.S. citizens. My information today comes from the U.S. State Department Embassies and Consulates in Russia webpage, the Embassy of the Russian Federation in the United States, and migrationpolicy.org. There's also not going to be a ton of deep statistics this time, so apologies to all you quant nerds. Finally, this recording provides accurate information as of May 13th, 2021, and I suspect it is likely to change in the not too distant future. But anyway, here we go. Let's start with some basics. Under Russian law, every foreign traveler must have a Russian-based sponsor, which could be a hotel, tour company, relative, employer, a university, or etc., etc. Even if a visa was obtained through a travel agency in the United States, there is always a Russian legal entity whose name is indicated on the visa and who is considered to be the legal sponsor. Russian law requires that the sponsor must apply on the traveler's behalf for replacement, extension, or changes to a Russian visa. U.S. citizens are advised to ensure they have contact information for the visa sponsor prior to arrival in Russia, as the sponsor's assistance will be essential to resolve any visa problems. So that being said, means that I probably won't visit Russia ever. Anyway, to enter and exit Russia for any reason, you must have a visa. It is impossible to obtain an entry visa on arrival, so you have to get the visa quite a bit in advance. And my dear friend who has visited Russia actually said that her tourist visa multiple entry took about 6 weeks to process start to finish. So that's something to keep in mind. There are 7 basic types of Russian visas: commercial, tourist, student, guest, diplomatic, transit, and entry for the purpose of requesting asylum. Russian visas are issued only on presentation of the appropriate invitation, and only Russian people and groups can invite Americans to visit Russia. The entry-exit visa has 2 dates. The first date indicates the earliest day you can go in, and the second date indicates the last day you can leave. The visa is only valid for those exact dates, and if you overstay, the Russian authorities might take 20 calendar days to authorize your exit visa. The embassy and consulate will not be able to help you in that event. So, sounds pretty strict. Let's move on. So, for student visas, an invitation for a foreign national to enter Russia for the purpose of studying at an educational institution is issued by the Federal Migration Service when you apply to the school. Student visas are unique in that they don't include an exit visa, but rather, you have to do a separate application for one to the proper Russian authorities. And often the student visa is only valid for 3 months. For a work visa, similar to Singapore and Japan and France, the prospective employer must begin the application process for this kind of visa at the Federal Migration Service for you. The prospective employers who hire foreigners must also receive permission from the local branch of the Federal Migration Service. That office issues the foreigner a document confirming his legal employment. So this kind of visa could really take quite a bit of time. If you have a Russian residency permit or a permanent registration with the police, or you're a church employee, technical expert coming for a short period to assemble imported equipment, or if you come for educational activities, you will not need a work permit. I have the suspicion that this document and these guidelines were created based on actual events of persons I don't know. Also, I assume you'll be in Russia longer than 1 week, so you'll need to register your visa and migration card through your sponsor at the Federal Migration Service or with your landlord at the local post office. Travelers staying in a hotel must register their visa and migration card with their hotel within 1 day. Even travelers that spend less than a week there are highly encouraged to register their visa. Now, the registration form consists of 2 parts. The first, the top, is filled in by the sponsor or the agent at the Federal Migration Service. The smaller bottom part stays with you, and you return this form to the airport passport control officer when you leave. The last requirement, not enforced super strictly. If you forget the form, you can still leave Russia. But you'll have to re-register if you're going to a different part of Russia for more than a week. The registration fee is set and usually posted in post offices and migration offices. There's an extra charge if it's mailed. I don't actually have that fee number. And now for the protein of the application documents. To apply for a work or student visa, you'll need to submit a completed application form, your passport, 1 picture, and a money order for the visa fee. A multiple entry visa fee for a U.S. citizen is $160. And I honestly don't know why anyone would ever bother to get a visa and only go for single entrance. You're also going to need your letter of invitation from the Russian sponsor, an original HIV blood test certificate, not taken earlier than 3 months before departure. Depending on what kind of work you'll be doing, your company requirements or your school requirements, the consular official might also request a bank statement, a statement from your current employer regarding how much money you're making from the last 6 months, medical insurance valid in Russia, documents regarding your ownership of property in the country of your citizenship, and a certificate on the makeup of the applicant's family. Hey, I did not write this. I am also a little bit in shock. And that's a wrap for this episode on Russia in particular. I know that some of the information was a little bit old, especially from the Migration Policy Institute. But definitely check out the embassy websites because those are decently easy to use. Maybe a 6 out of 10. I think that's pretty good. All right. Bye.